I used to watch these videos religiously leading up to my birth, and I finally get to tell my own story. This is my positive birth story. I'm not sharing this story to gloat, to show off that I had a good birth, blah, 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 because I know so many people don't. I only would look up positive birth stories before I went into labor and before I gave birth. So I want to put mine out there because they can be positive. It was Saturday night. My husband plays soccer on a Saturday night. Where he was playing was about like a 40-minute drive from our house. It was 2 days before her due date. So she was due on the Monday. This was the Saturday night. I went to soccer because I was not going to be sitting in my house. If I sat in my house for long periods of time, I literally felt like I was going to go mental at the end of my pregnancy. I needed to get out of the house for periods, even though I literally had no energy, was so uncomfortable. I just would make myself. Saturday night, went to soccer, watched my husband play. Just felt off all day. I had a massive cry in the morning. I was so emotional. I was over it. I was like, if I go over 40 weeks or if I hit 41 weeks, I was actually going to go mental. I had a midwife appointment on the Monday and I was going to beg for a stretch and sweep on that Monday. That would have been her due date. So I was like tunnel vision for that Monday. I was like, let's just get to the due date, do what I need to do. Saturday night, went to soccer. Like I said, felt off. On the way home, we actually stopped in at a pub to have some dinner. I was so uncomfortable at that pub. When I got out of my car, I had a bit of an intense cramp. I didn't have too many like pre-labor massive signs that everyone has. I was crampy on and off. Like she was sitting low and I could feel it, but I was like, this could go on for weeks. I also was vomiting like 2 weeks before I gave birth. And I thought that that week that I was vomiting most days, that I was like, oh, I'm gonna go into labor this week maybe, but no, that didn't happen. Like apart from that, I didn't really have any like major labor signs. I got to the pub, had just a bit more of an intense cramp compared to what I was having before. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then at the pub, I had another one. I went to the toilet and I was like, oh, this just feels really uncomfortable. I said to my husband on the way home, I was like, I just had 2 cramps at the pub and I'm like, they just felt a lot different to normal. Like they were just a little bit more intense. And he was like, oh yeah, whatever. And I kind of didn't really want to hang on to anything. I was like, could be nothing. The minute we walked through the door, they were on. My contractions were on. My husband was tracking them, but he tried to go to sleep and he tried to encourage me to go to sleep, but they were so strong and they were so close together that I was like, I cannot sleep. Called the hospital just to give them a heads up. They kind of brushed me off and were like, you know, first baby, stay at home, it's gonna be a long labor. I was annoyed by that because they were intense. I was like, I feel like I need something because these are crazy. Anyway, they brushed me off a little bit, which I kind of get, but also in the moment I was so annoyed. We were tracking them, they were about 5 to maybe 6 minutes apart, like straight up. This is TMI, but after each contraction, I would have to sit on the toilet and I had like diarrhea. I was clearing out. It was only like an hour later. They were about 3 minutes apart. My husband called the hospital back and he was like, we are coming in. And they were like, yep, no worries. If you feel like you need to come in, come in. My husband tried to get me to the car. It took about 20 minutes to get me to the car because I was contracting that bad. I bypassed the car, went straight out onto my driveway, and then I did a huge vomit and my waters broke at the same time. We actually have the footage on our Ring camera, our security camera out the front. But yeah, waters broke, I vomited at the same time, and I looked at my husband and I was like, I told you I had to go to the hospital. That drive to the hospital was the longest drive of my life. I don't think I opened my eyes the entire drive. My eyes were shut. I was contracting 3 minutes apart and they were intense contractions. We pulled up at the hospital. I opened up the car door and my husband said I just crawled out of the car. I was trying to crawl into the hospital on all fours. I could not stand up straight. Being bent over was the only thing that was comfortable. Got up there, straight into the birthing room. The midwife said to me, what do you want? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm just going to go with the flow and see how I feel, but I would love to get in the bath. She goes, you cannot get in the bath yet. You'd either need to be here for 4 hours or we need to do a cervical check, but it's a little bit too soon. You've just gotten here. Obviously, they're monitoring my contractions. And then she goes to me pretty quickly, like I must have been there for maybe an hour or something, or like it would have been less than an hour, like half an hour. And she goes, can we do a cervical check? Obviously, because my contractions were so close and strong. And I was like, yeah, whatever, do what you need to do. She checked me and she goes, do you want to know how many centimeters you are? And I said, I don't know, do I? She goes, "You're 6 centimeters." And I was like, oh my God. So she goes, "I'm running the bath." She ran the bath. I got in there. Best thing ever. All I did was suck on the gas as well. At first I felt like the gas did nothing, and then the midwife and the student midwife I had said, they just kept like coaching me through it, and they're like, you need to breathe in and out the gas through your whole contraction. And literally every single contraction I was on that gas. I had no other pain relief at all. Got in the bath, then the midwife said to me, "You haven't done a wee in a few hours, you need to wee because your bladder's probably blocking your baby." Had no sensation to wee. I had to get out of the bath, onto the toilet, still nothing, back into the bed. She goes, "We're going to do an in-out catheter." So they popped a little catheter in, drained my urine, and she goes, "Right, yep, you're good, get back in the bath." And then I got back in the bath, and pretty much I think I started pushing straight after that. I got to the hospital at about 3 a.m, started pushing, and she was out by 6:38. 2 pushes, and I think it was about 20 minutes of pushing. I did have 2 second-grade tears because I felt her head pop out, and then I just kept pushing, whereas I should have stopped and breathed. But being in the bath, I was kind of like, I don't know, I think I panicked a bit and was like, she's gonna not breathe and whatever, but I should have just waited, taken a breath, waited for a contraction, and then pushed her body out. But unfortunately, I just went in one go. In that moment, I just didn't know what was going on. Gave birth in the bath. It was the best thing ever. She was straight up on me. I probably count my full labor from when I got home, like from about 10:30 p.m. That's when my contractions were like, I was like, these are actual like labor contractions. So from about 10:30 p.m. till 6:38, it's what, 8 hours. Honestly, for a first baby, like insane. 3.5 hours from when I got to the hospital to when she was out. I know that doesn't happen very often, especially for a first baby, but I was so incredibly lucky. We had a pretty good birth. That is my positive labor and birth story. You can have a positive experience even for your first baby. Like, I went in with the mindset that this was going to be a long labor, like we're going to be here for like 24 hours trying to get her out, but I was so fortunate, and that's our story. Very, very, very grateful and very lucky.